Welcome back, everybody, to week 3 of the Wild Rift European Championship. We're looking at the lower bracket of the WREC European Open bracket. That's a mouthful, but the important thing is we've lost 2 teams already. It feels like it's been such a short road so far, but already Weigers taking a 2-0 yesterday means that Principality have already left, and Weigers did it in quite dominating fashion. There were a few moments perhaps we thought Principality could bounce back into it, but it was a 2-0 to close it out. Thankfully, our second series of the day between Aphelion and Supremacy gave us the first upset, because while Supremacy came out of game 1 looking really strong, actually, it was close, but we thought, okay, Supremacy probably have got this. Aphelion, they beat expectations, they defied all the predictions, defied the analysts, and got themselves a 2-1 upset win into the second round of the lower bracket. We have 2 more series coming from the lower bracket today. We're ready to go. Let's get the show on the road.
Welcome to the official Riot Games Wild Rift EMEA Championship.
Everybody round here, know we get hype. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round.
Stress here, joined by Stuart and Carmeline once again to bring you all of the action from today's WREC lower bracket. And I can't believe we've already said goodbye to 2 teams. Carmeline, I know that you've got a team that you're really looking forward to seeing play today in Blows Gaming. Do you think they can bounce back after last week's loss?
Wait, was it Blows Gaming? Oh yeah, of course. So I'm hoping the performance this week is much better. To be honest, I've seen the best of them. So I'm hoping for something better, you know? Maybe a little bit like a 2-1 at least. Please.
Hopefully. We had our first 2-1. We've broken the seal on 2-1 games. I'm hoping we get a whole lot more. Let's take a look at the bracket and see exactly where in the competition we are. The upper bracket you're going to see first. This is not where we are today, but we have to highlight the banger matches coming. The first of which are coming tomorrow with Zero Zone and Viv and Game Lord and Queso. Some fantastic matches in this upper bracket, but it's the lower bracket where we're going to be focusing on today. 2 big series. It's win or go home, and it's Blows Gaming against Entropic and Mood against Control. Stuart, I know you got a love-hate relationship with Control. You want to predict them, you'd love to predict them, but you hate to predict them. So what are your thoughts on Control coming into today?
I did predict them for this series, so I'm hoping they don't let me down. If they do, then I'll be very, very upset to see them getting knocked out of the tournament early on. But yeah, 2 very close series today. We saw 2 pretty close series, especially the second game of the series, second series yesterday. Mm-hmm. We saw Baron steals, we saw comebacks, we saw new meta. There's a lot of things going into today's 2 series that we have up for everyone.
Yeah, there are. We can take a look at our predictions on the day as well. I think a lot of us had a little bit of egg on our face from yesterday's predictions when we were looking for Supremacy to win. However, again, kind of streamlined throughout the day. A lot of focus on Control, a lot of support for Control. However, whenever all of the analysts pick the same team, normally that's when it goes badly. Carmeline, you predicted Blows for our first series of the day. We're going to be casting that, so I will get your opinion on that. But I want to hear from you about tomorrow, because I know you won't be with us on the broadcast. You've picked Queso over Game Lord. Let's dive for a moment into that. You believe in Queso.
Okay. I believe in Team Queso, not only because they're a really good team right now. I have full trust on Acolyte, on 100%. And also, the time they lost in the purge, it was against the Master Yi, okay? So people are underestimating them incredibly. So you wait and watch how they defeat Game Lord.
Well, for a team like Queso, being underestimated is a really difficult thing to kind of overcome, but we always know that they can. Stuart, I believe we're going to say goodbye to you for now, and you're going to be joining me for the second series of the day, but I'll let you get ready for the rest of the broadcast. And Carmeline and I can dive into a little bit of what we were expecting to see yesterday, but didn't. I'm a Yuumi hater, because when she came out on PC, she just broke the meta. I have 2 cats. I love cats. I hate this cat. Carmeline, no Yuumi presence at all yesterday. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my honest impression is that the teams haven't been informed that they can play Yuumi. And that's why she hasn't appeared. I mean, there's no explanation for her not... I mean, if we're being serious here, you think about it, what combination does Yumi work with? Just today you were talking about potentially Garen Yumi, but I feel like the teams prefer to combine Garen with other champions, leaving Yumi a little bit like lonely in the PC game. She used to be supporting Ezreal, for example. Ezreal is not hot right now in Wild Rift. So, I mean, I'm sorry for her. This is not her day. So, goodbye until 3 weeks after this, I guess.
That's totally fair. The teams need to kind of bounce back a little bit with the different changes in meta. We saw a few other changes in meta. We saw some Kai'Sa priority that we didn't really see in the last week, which I like Kai'Sa. I don't know that the teams yesterday were really finding the meta because we still have a lot of those AP champions in the bottom lane as the carry, but I love it when Kai'Sa's in the meta. She's such a fun champion to watch.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's not only Kai'Sa, it's only Vayne, for example, that is going back to take her place in the bot lane, which I think it's indicating quite an interesting change of meta right now for the teams that could be pointing towards a return of those AD carries that we've been missing a lot. Well, I mean, I know we've been missing collectively, but I've been missing them quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I miss AD carries in the meta. I'm typically a bot carry myself, so I love it when AD carries are meta. I wonder whether it's these tank shredding later game ADs that you kind of mentioned. I wonder whether we'll see more priority of that. But I mean, we've had our first upset of the WREC. At least that's the way that I would put it. I had voted for Supremacy to win, but we finally got a 2-1. We got a close series. If there's one series today, I know you said Blows, you're hoping they can get a 2-1. What do you think will be like a key point for Blows coming into this first series today? Where do they have to put their effort?
Ooh, okay, so last week Bamboo underperformed a lot for me, for my taste. I think Savek wasn't feeling comfortable with the pick either. So what I'm expecting to see today is Ezra actually stepping up, taking that mid lane control and perhaps, snowballing the game. After talking to the players, they seem to agree that if they are able to take the first map, they might be able to take the entire series. So come on, guys, do it. It's not difficult.
Yeah, it's not difficult. Just win. That's all you got to do at this point. We are getting closer to our first series of the day. It is going to be between Blows Gaming versus Entropic. And I think this is the difficulty of the bracket that we have, is both of these teams kind of faced some pretty tough opposition in the first round. Like when you look at who came out of the first round, all 8 teams, I'm like, well, yeah, they're good teams. And these are the teams that face like Queso and Game Lord, which are 2 of our top teams. So I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit more, as you've mentioned, out of Blows and Entropic. I know we're not the only ones that have opinions on this game. I want to hear a little bit from Stuart on what he thinks are the key points for our first series of the day.
Thank you very much, Stress. Yes, the first one is about Sakutsa. We saw him play really, really well against Na'Vi, especially on the Irelia. So I feel like Irelia and trying to get Sakutsa on a comfort pick for Entropic is going to be very, very key for them to try and win this series. Another pick as well, which we saw a little bit yesterday as well, and even after the changes, Morgana is still a priority for these 2 teams. 3 out of the 4 matches that we saw from these 2 teams, Morgana was either picked or banned. So very, very high priority going into picks and bans. And then we're talking about in-game. We're talking about rotations around the map. We saw that Blows Gaming like to give up a lot of pressure early on, especially against Rix.GG. So I want to see them kind of switch it around a bit. I want to see them be a bit more proactive against Entropic, because Entropic, they took it to Na'Vi. They nearly took a game against Na'Vi, and I'm really looking forward to see what Entropic will be able to do against Blows Gaming in this series. But we're getting closer to our first game of today and our first series of today. So back to Stress and Carmeline to get us into the game.
Yeah, we are going ever closer. We've got a little bit of time still before we get into the game. So I think it's worth we chat a little bit about the meta again. We talked about Yumi. I think one of the key points there, and it feeds into Stuart's, where we're looking at this priority on mages in the bottom lane. And Yumi with mages doesn't really go quite hand in hand as with AD carries, especially those later game scaling AD carries and the ones with mobility like Ezreal. I do kind of want to see teams maybe looking a little bit towards the likes of Olaf. I know we've seen Jax a whole lot in the jungle, and I believe that it was actually played in one of the regions with the Yuumi, if I'm not mistaken. I do want to kind of like look at how the meta is adapting, because we've gone away from the likes of a lot of these early game junglers. We're seeing a lot of like Gragas come into the mix in lanes as well. There's so much changing week to week in the meta. Carmeline, where do you think like priority has to go towards in the draft for these two teams?
Actually, I think Stuart hit the key points there quite nicely when it came to the Morgana trio, for example. You also see Nami reappear on the Rift. Yeah, with the bubbles, which, by the way, it has a different name. They're not called bubbles. I discovered this the other day. It was like bubbles, they're not called that.
Aqua Prism, I think, is the official name. Yeah. But,
and I was like, what? Bubbles? Okay, anyways.
If it looks like a bubble, if it works like a bubble, I'm going to call it a bubble for our cast. So apologies to the ability name purists out there. You're not getting that one.
I know. But then you also have the Core Kid 6, for example, also having kind of a priority. And if you look at the most played champions, not the most banned played, you know, if you all look at the most played champions, you can find not only Morgana up there, the Core Kids they mentioned, the Darius. I feel like he's falling a little bit behind, like as new counter picks are arising. So we'll see if that's the case for today's games. But
yeah, I'm interested on that Darius point, because we have players like Acolyte and a few other players who are super known for their Darius. So I wonder whether the rest of the field will just start banning that. But you were going to bring up another point there.
No, I was about to say, don't be worried about Acolyte. I think he can play mostly anything to support him. Wait, is this a Stuart? Oh my gosh.
We want to hear more from Stuart. Stuart's actually taking over this show, believe it or not.
Stuart is doing this to stop you on camera. Okay, we get it, Stuart. We get it. We love you.
He's just very hyped for Control and Mood later today. That is a really interesting series, because when you look at those two teams, we'll be diving into them later today. I want to focus on Blows versus Entropic. Let's take a look at the rosters for our first series of the day. As you mentioned already, Bamboo, Javivu, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher some names here, Esther, Savek, Lobo, and Sukutka, Nadro, Patres, Haru, and Pogo. So please, Carmeline, if I am butchering names, feel free to correct me. I'm always happy to.
You are butchering names.
Yeah, you can. Which ones have I messed up the most and you can help me with?
Okay,
Havivu, okay.
Indeed. And then, well, you haven't butchered any other names, but I should remark that Lobo means wolf in Spanish.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll try and really put the emphasis on the Havivu, because I know not a lot of English speakers can do it, but being a Welshman, I can do all of the fancy different trills that Welsh and Spanish share. So I'll try and do it during the game. But I mean, obviously that's not what we're here for. We're not here for linguistics. We are here for Wild Rift. And we've talked a lot about the meta. We've talked a lot about the teams coming into today. I think format has to weigh now on our minds, because this really is it. This is the lower bracket. This is the last second chance of teams here. That's a lot of pressure to now be basically 2 or 3 games away from being out. For these two teams, is there one team you think is going to adapt to that better than another? Do you know their experience perhaps in these kind of situations?
Well, for me, I want to say Blows Gaming, because I've seen more of them, logically. I mean, I've been casting the league that we're taking part in. I've been seeing them through the ups and downs. So I want to say Blows Gaming. But Entropic and the performance last week really makes me wonder if that's going to be the case. You know, my heart is saying Blows. My mind is saying, but what if? You know?
My mind's telling me let's get to picks and bans, and so is my heart. I'm so ready for picks and bans. We're ready to get our first game of the day underway. It is a best of 3. It is last chance for both these teams in the open bracket stage. Of course, these two teams are playing for the 1 spot to go to finals at the very end of this bracket. And we are going to find out what finds ban priority. I think blue side, we've seen a whole lot of Lee Sin ban. We've seen a whole lot of Varus ban. Jax actually taken off the board. We have seen a bunch of Jax jungle recently. So it gives you kind of like that almost a bit of a cheating macro in the end of the game, where it's just like, we don't have to make macro decisions. We just have to put Jax in the side lane.
You just think Jax's squad is strong pick when it comes to, as you said, late game, but also in the early game with his stunts and so on. I think he can be quite powerful. From the side of Entropic, the Morgana we've been talking about for the entire show, once again banned. Will we see her ever again? I don't know. I don't think so. It's quite difficult when a champion is so high up in the rankings. And same goes for Galio. Galio has been played twice in the competition by Levo, so no more Galio for him. He'll have to find another alternative.
Ooh, Varus banned away. Like, this is already double focus on the bot lane from Entropic. Now, what that would tell me is this is like Corki first rotation on red side. Like, that's where my mind immediately goes to, is like, you're banning bot laners, you have to then put the priority on bot lane. Whereas for Blows, I mean, they put one towards jungle, they've got one on the support, we're also seeing a little bit of Galio in the middle lane. They have first pick. So at this point, Jace or Set is going to get through. Garen has been banned, and that Darius that we talked about is also available.
Oh, I didn't Garen. I don't want Garen to be banned.
You don't want Garen to be banned?
No, because I want him to spin around and around like the song. But I mean, I guess that's not the case today. We'll have to see. Fiora, though, she's been banned. And I mean, that sets it up perfectly for, you were talking about Darius, you know, here. You take the Fiora away, then you have like free field, free choice to go for this kind of picks, or even a Jace. The zoning the control this champion can provide to you, the tanking, even if you wanna go that route, is amazing and a completely understandable pick here for Blows Gaming.
There's a lot here for red side though, like Corki, Lee Sin. We also are gonna like have the ability to go towards the set. Like, there's enough that Blows should pick something up on their second rotation, but like there's a lot of strong picks available. Camille is also up. We've seen so many bans towards Camille, and that's a Thresh picked up. So not opting for the Corki yet. What Thresh does do though historically is provide late game immobile carries with an exit point. That Lantern helps the champion like a Vayne really impactfully get away from fights. Same with the Kai'Sa.
Also, the box will be quite interesting to walk against from Blows Gaming side. You need to avoid it. You need to be able to break free out of it, the flay, the hook even. But moving on to Corki here, we've got quite a good chance to deal damage here coming from Blows Gaming. I think it can go both mid game and or bot lane, depends on what you want the composition to look like. And one thing that I really like about this champion is obviously the ultimate and the packages, as I think we all love. That provides it with such a movement speed that can be really useful, and perhaps combined with a Rakan, we could have a triple threat here.
Yeah, this is a pretty strong combination in general. I always, when I see Corki and Jace, start thinking towards a poke composition, which Wild Rift's a little bit quicker of a game than League of Legends. We'll touch on the Ziggs in a second, but like, so we haven't seen a whole lot of poke comps that need to weather you down a whole lot. We see champions that poke, but not compositions so much drafted only around it. So this is a little bit more engaged than perhaps people might be expecting. Ziggs picked up for that bottom lane. So there's that immobile carry that's going to get helped by Thresh.
I'm scared. I'm worried about the hextech minefields from Ziggs. But for now, I have to worry about the bans that are coming from both teams. Entropic banning the Diana that has been played by Urza in the past. But at the same time, it's kind of like shooting their foot themselves, because they are also really assassin mid laners focused when it comes to team compositions. We'll see what they decide to take it this day. But said, as I was saying, assassins being banned in the second round.
Yeah, that's to take away the AD threat from the mid lane. There are a few others that we may see, like Yasuo still finds a place. Some teams try and like jam in an Akshan to try and just be like, we'll just take any AD in the middle lane. And we've also seen the likes of Set and other bruisers find their way into middle lane. Like Ruiz played Olaf. We had an Olaf mid yesterday in our series as well. So there are a few other picks. It's not just Zed or nothing, but with Kha'Zix taken off the board, Entropic are trying to focus down that jungle role now.
There we go, and with the Camille, you're taking up many options that you had open right now. Okay, this helps fill the gap, you know, that fills the role of the assassin kind of mid laner. They're going on for Patras. Am I happy about this pick? I'm not really sure about it. I don't feel like the Ari has been working that well in all the comes. But I'm gonna give them a vote of fate. Like, use a charm onto the enemy. But then again, you didn't have any enemies right now that can get that up close to you. So to justify this,
Okay. I saw a Vi yesterday in the Brazilian League for Wild Rift. Tanks are where my mind goes next. Like Mundo would be what I'd want to pick, but it doesn't fit this composition for blows. But against double AP threat, you'd have to go towards something that can just build a lot of magic resist. Vi is going to allow them to lock down the Ziggs incredibly well. And if Ziggs isn't there and you have a tank against an Ahri, okay, it's not going to be a tank at all. We'll get into that in the game. But this Ahri is going to have a lot less impact on the game when she's kind of zoned away by Vi in the same way that Ziggs will.
And also the Orianna to split up team fights in this case. Against the Ziggs, I can see a really good potential in here. Like, are you gonna use this on me? Are you gonna try to zone me out? Wait a second, I'm Orianna. I can use my ultimate and you will all get away with it. And then, yeah, really, Stress, we need to talk about this pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a multi-person stun that can line up. Won't do a whole lot to protect Ziggs and Ahri, but very good at cleaning up fights. So what we'd kind of assume is like between Lee Sin and Ziggs, you get the initial damage down with Ahri, and then Irelia just kind of darts around and cleans up. And it's partly, I would imagine, because there's no tank on blows. You can just clean up really squishy targets very quickly with an Irelia.
Yeah, that's something that is kind of worrying me. You know, like, what are you engaged picks? You know, you've got here perhaps a Rakan to protect your enemies, but you don't have really a champion that can do that well without going in alone. Like, although mostly ranged champions with a set of skills will allow them to keep the enemies at bay, but not so much engage themselves. As I said, there are no tanks going on for this team. The bulkiest champion could be Vi or Jace, and I'm kind of worried. Like, they really need to get this game up and going in the early minutes of it, and then just kind of snowball from there, which was the plan last week, as I talked with Bamboo and Savek about it, and they were really confident, kind of like, WREC, they think they're gonna win, but we know that we might be able to win. In this case, I think it's a matter of, as you said, it's life or die. It's either win the series or lose the series and go home. So I'm sure they've got a plan. I'm sure about it. I know. Trust the plan, as Alonso the fans say.
Trust the process. Weird draft for our first one of the day. If I'm going to be completely honest, like, not a lot of brews are priority in the traditional sense. Like, we had some bans. Darius made it all the way through the draft. Set made it all the way through the draft. And like, these are champions that can stand up against the likes of like the Ziggs and Ahri. So I'm interested to see how blows play this out. I think they have a good kind of team fight composition when they get there, with the likes of the ball delivery from Rakan and Orianna, and you've got Corki has AoE damage. On the other side, though, Entropic, I feel like they kind of have one of these kind of 1-3-1 comps where if you get somebody low and you attack the side lane, you can make it work really well, but I feel like it's quite tricky to do. We're going to have to watch this. We get into the game. It is game one of the day between Blows Gaming and Entropic. Win or go home in this series for both of these teams.
Exactly, Stress. And as you can see, both of them already kind of being proactive. Whoa.
Gotta respect that level 2. When Bamboo hits level 2 and Jace has access to the ability to just go in, always tough in that matchup.
Definitely, we can see a lot of that, and I think Blows Gaming has been characterized by that aggressiveness in the early levels of the game, not always walking in the favor, but also look at the beautiful rotation here for both supports. They definitely want to get the first kill.
Yeah, Nedro is here as well to help push out. Hook does not land from Entropic, and that'll just be the case of both helping out. The range versus melee matchup, always tricky to play out from the melee perspective, especially when Jace holds his Ignite and has that back available. But there's the knockup from Rakan, looking to go for the first kill on to Pogo, but it's not quite enough, as they will reposition back towards middle lane. A couple of little skirmishes, but no kills to speak of yet.
No, yet Vi has used the flash, which is going to leave them in a difficult position moving forward if these things keep going like this, because nobody in the enemy team has burned any summoner spells except for the Ignite from Irelia. So we'll see how that plays out. For now, they're rotating towards the bot lane. I'm really interested in here. We've seen these 2-minute skirmishes. Now it's time to go back to lanes. It's time to go back and farm a little bit to build up determination. Both teams need it. I think they've invested way too much time in trying to get something out of this without really getting that much.
100%. Like, and I feel like that is going to have a weird impact on the first dragons and objectives of the game, where a lot of the time you'll see people start to finish items before those engages, but we just spent a minute A-ramming basically around mid lane. So I wonder which team will have an advantage on that. I think Irelia got a little bit of time by the looks of it in lane, got level 5 ahead of Jace. So I don't know this matchup specifically, and as a play-by-play caster, I know it's not exactly my forte, but I have to imagine that now that Irelia has level 5, she at least can threaten Jace with kills now, so Jace has to play this matchup a little bit more carefully than he would have pre-ultimate.
Yeah, so for Aurelia, what you've really got going on are the outplays, the outplay potential. So versus a Jace who's got that range and poke, that might be a little bit more difficult. But the escapes that he's got with the Mercurial Hammer and the Mercurial Barrier might be good to walk with. So again, hello, am I here? Yes, you can hear me.
Yeah, we've got you. And Nedro nearly got caught in that top lane. Here comes the Irelia engage we were talking about. There's the kill threat for First Blood. Makes it look easy, but Vi with the ultimate is going to cross through into the lane. Maybe caught though. That's a hook going to land. Was it worth? I don't know that was really worth for Habibu.
Oh no, okay, well, I mean, oh no for Blows, oh yeah for Entropic. Really well played here. I really had to burn the flash as well. You had quite intense team fight here. You can see it once again flanking from the side of Entropic. There you go, Bamboo getting stand rooted in there. Sakutka with the Banglet's edge, getting the kill onto them, and the hook absolutely getting them to be 1 kill ahead. So, you know, I might have dismissed Fresh a little bit, but then we'll go again.
Sakutka's just going to run Bamboo down for now. Ooh, no more tower damage as Bamboo can't quite convert that kill. But Sakutka nearly picked up another kill. That's your Ignite timing not quite being back available from that fight. One thing you've always got to watch out for when you're playing against an Irelia is your own minions will betray you. Because if you have a low health minion next to you, or you jump in like Bamboo just did, like Irelia is going to get the cooldown back off that jump and then get on top of you and then stun you, and you've basically done the work for her. It's like, as soon as you're next to an Irelia, that's the worst position to be in. Nevertheless, it's a handshake on the objectives. Dragon goes over, 2 blows, and Entropic pick up the Rip Trap.
And potentially first tower as well, without even using Rip Health in this one. I mean, the lane was quite clear for them. In the meantime, Blows Gaming has decided to focus more on mid lane, perhaps even bot lane, trying to push a little bit there before Ari gets back in there. But I'm a little bit confused about what the current plan is. Okay, you've got the Mountain Dragon, which is always good to have in your pocket, but then you've allowed Entropic to get a little bit of a gold lead, about 2k, and also look at the itemization already being completed, at least the first item by the all the members for Entropic. You've got the Betalk, Blade of the Rune King, you've got Ludin's Echo, you've got Jomus, so the Vampire Scepter as well. I really, with the Vampire Scepter, is really kind of worrying me here with life still. I'm gonna be panicking just now, but I just want to let it be said. I'm kind of scared right now for Blows Gaming.
And Irelia being 1,300 gold up at 6 minutes into the game is pretty scary. Like, this is the kind of pick that's going to take over this game, because all you need is one team fight where the Ziggs ultimate lands, Lee Sin gets damaged down, and Irelia just hops around the team fight, picks up 2 more kills, and suddenly nobody can deal with her. That's one of the problems with this Blows composition is no tanks. You only have Vi, and Vi traditionally builds towards like half damage, half tank. You not full tank on Vi. Has a Triforce already, so it means that you can blow one person up, but then Irelia is just going to be unmanageable, and she's already pretty difficult in the side lane.
I got the joke, you can blow one person up.
That was actually not intentional. I came into today being like, I'm not going to use that phrase, but I guess if it fits the team, they will go for it. And honestly, I can see that our chat, actually the opposite side. Get your votes in chat when that comes around at the beginning of the game, and we'll see who exactly you feel has the advantage. I feel like I would have agreed with that perhaps if Blows had been able to get Rift Herald and used it mid. I don't know how they actually dive mid at any point in this game against the Ziggs.
Stop complaining, Stress, okay?
That's not a complaint. It's just, hey, I'd be happy to be wrong. If they can prove me wrong, I'm always happy to be. But it's just difficult, right? Ziggs just sits in mid lane and just wave clears the entire game long.
True, and also, I mean, we still love Entropic. It's a team that has made it up to here. They put up a fight in the past games. They're not to be underestimated. But also, I'm very interested in how this is going to play out for them, because for now they've been focusing the efforts on the top lane more than in any other lane. And now they seem to be rotating, as well as Blow's Gaming. They seem to put a lot of emphasis there on the bot lane too. So what might happen here is a potential one-to-one face-to-face between Corki and Six, which is not a bad matchup for any of them. I'm really invested on it. Clean a little bit of vision here. And of course, the key point, don't let neither also could get the lead in this kind of situation. You don't want any Aurelia who's like 2-0 over your top laner, or Elysian who's insane for that matter. Oh no.
I mean, it was going to expire, so I understand just having to use it. Unfortunately, not able to guide it through. I think the one player for me that I have to look at to basically not make a mistake is if Sakutka plays this game out really well and doesn't overextend and doesn't get caught on the side lane. And Tropic just have a lot of emphasis and like control of the map, because that Aurelia is too strong on her own to actually be matched. So it's basically just like, don't over push and get violted and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think Aurelia, Darius are champions that are all about self-reliance. Like they do that real well, unlike all the champions that might need more help from junglers, might be living more comfortably in the top lane island. And look at this as well. The Infernal Dragon now being sieged by Blow's Gaming, who are going to have to surrender this in order to perhaps get a little bit more push on that bot lane tower. But by doing this, they're isolating themselves a little bit from the rest of the team who's going towards the Rip Herald. So careful with this one, because this could be fatal for Blow's Gaming.
It could be, but I actually like the Blows are going to end up getting the Rift Herald. I think cracking that middle lane tower gives Aurelia a such harder job to push out in the side lane, and especially when Blows still have theirs. That's the one way I think that they can always kind of stay in the game, is this threat of the Vi, Orianna, Jace, Rakan, like the team fighting style is always going to be there. I feel like that Rift Herald has to go mid, though, otherwise you're never going to break it. But there's a dive happening in the bottom lane as package has been used. It was just to get in towards the bottom lane. I think that may very well have been about to expire as well, looking at the vague timings. Rift Herald used top lane to try and just get any pressure down on the map, so it will try and at least, close the gold gap. So at this point, it's going to be 2 towers, back away, basically a level game on the gold. So Blows are fighting their way back into this one.
Yeah, now it's Tropic who's going to make a decision, make a move of sorts. They've got a Dragon, the Infernal Dragon, quite a good one. The one that I think most people want in their games. But besides that, the towers have been taken. The Herald has been able to do their job, unlike they didn't do it before. In the middle tower, they were trying to take there. So now that there are no objectives on the map, at least no Herald, no Dragon, what you want to do is try to get control over the entire thing, apply pressure on the different lanes, especially on the ones you're interested in, like that top lane, which is being pushed right now by Jace. And then the next thing you want to do is give a lot of potential to Urza right now to escalate with that Lune Seeker that he's already got in his hands, as well as its bot lane plan here for some type of a strategy against Sakutka's Aurelia. Could walk, could not walk, there we go.
Yeah, looking for that multi-person stun. The rest of the team is not quite there yet. Looking for that Thresh. Has Sakutka been able to survive for long enough? Doesn't take the Lantern back out. I thought he could get the kill in time, but there's the kill down onto Orianna, and you can see with Jace up in the top side of the map that there's no real teeth left for Blows. The Corki is here, but the kills have already gone over towards Entropic.
Indeed, Sadvik arriving not quite in time, allowing for his teammates to be killed. 2 kills down for Team Blow's Gaming, and another turret going on for Entropic, which is not a good move. I was thinking this might be a good gank, They managed to get away with Aurelia's kill, but again, we can see it here. Orianna gets a stand, and then everything goes down there. You get the rest of Entropic arriving. Six is choosing to stay in the back line there, but the hits are just way too good. The next one to fall is going to be this Rakan. And Savik, what can he do? Again, not much.
Yeah, not much. And that's the heartbreaking moment when you have the support. Pogo's like, I got you, fam, throws out the Lantern and watches Sakutka Q in instead of Lantern out. And you're like, oh. I tried my best, and now this cooldown is not available for anybody else. It doesn't matter though, as Entropic to end up taking a bunch of kills from that exchange. And this is where the composition can really bite, is these skirmishes where it's not 5 versus 5 out on the other side of the map. If Lee Sin lands a Sonic Wave, gonna go in every single time. Just like, if I can get the kick, I'll set it up for Aurelia, get the first kill, and they can't fight. That's a charm landing in the middle lane, but there's no real damage to follow up here. It is the 2 mages in middle lane. If that Sonic Wave hits here, Orianna is in a lot of trouble, but they'll hold it for now, and they're taking full control of this top side of the map.
Yeah, which is not good once again for Blow's Gaming. This has been kind of what they've been going for, also knowing that the objectives are spawning. And just right now, you've got the Baron already, 25 seconds until the next dragon is up. And Blow's Gaming needs to reset it right now, go back to base, and then be ready to fight for those. The same gonna go for Entropic. This is the time now to think, do I want to risk it all like it happened yesterday with so many Barons still? Do I want to wait a little bit longer? Do I want to go for pushing the side lanes? They do seem to want to go for a full 5 versus 5 team fight there in the mid lane, get rid of the enemy, of the opponent before you have to go for the actual objective. Be able to just destroy it in peace. So we'll see what happens in here. But Entropic looking for a flank.
Yeah, that's a Guardian Angel out already on Havivu. I can understand it in the principle of like Vi is always going to die in these fights if Vi does what she wants to. It is what it is. I don't really like it so much, but I see people do it fairly frequently. It is basically just that when she goes in, she doesn't concede a kill, and hopefully the rest of the team kills everybody and you're alive at the end of it. Hook doesn't quite land. They're going to try and go. Grizzly steals it in the middle of the charge in, and that is a perfect fight start for Blows, as it's a double kill going already towards Cyvic, but is the Aurelia able to clean up on the back end? Got one, but can't quite get the rest. This would have been the perfect situation. That was not how Entropic wanted that to go. Perfect steal from Havivu.
I feel like Haru couldn't quite do much. The mana was kind of low. He had to stay in the side lanes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no follow-up there. As look at the mana on Haru. It's a little bit tricky to go in on that kind of perspective as a Ziggs. But okay, Blows at least trying to stay in this as best as they can. Like, that is a big steal on this dragon.
It was. You can see it right here, how they were planning to go in, dragon out of the dragon pit to kind of get more of an advantage, of a position advantage. But there we go, all in. Quite a good Vi entering right there, assaulting battery from her. And then you can see how Haru gets a little bit left behind. He kind of catch up with the rest of the team. And therefore, I mean, one less asset there for Entropic, one less person to put up a fight, and a fight lost for them.
I thought Vi was supposed to be on the side of good. I won't spoil Arcane, don't worry. But stealing the dragon away, good look for Blows. Oh, that's the tragic situation of like the hook still landing anyway, but they couldn't quite follow up onto Lobo. Entropic need to kind of steady themselves a little bit. One of the points I was going to bring up before that, Drake, actually, is that Entropic's Baron is actually really slow. Like Ziggs and Ari are not going to help you do Baron very quickly, at least like not comparatively. So it's not an option for them to just start Baron if everybody from Blows is alive. In my opinion, they have to get kills first before they can take that objective. And I think Blows have done a really good job of slowing down Entropic. Great use of the satchel is going to pick up that mid lane turret. Finally, it's 16 minutes into game. We've seen games end before that mid lane turret has died at this pace. So that's why this game's been a little bit slower other than those dragon fights.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't considered, at least I haven't been thinking a lot about it, was what happens if Thresh lands a hook? Well, then you've got Rakan there with the battle dance there. You've got the grand entrance as well to help his teammates out, get them out of the situation with a good shield. So, I mean, in front of that, the hook doesn't seem that so fearsome as in all the situations. Now, if you look at the Entropic situation right now, they seem to be ahead in towers, in gold as well. But I feel like something's failing here. I think it's the mid-game to late game. And there we go.
Vi showed bot lane, and that means that even though I said it's a slow Baron, which it is, it will die fast enough that the rest of Blows are going to try and get there in time. But is it enough? As the Flay comes back, Pogo is trying to deny them. The quickness goes in. It has gone over just in time for Entropic, but is it too little, too late? As there's low health bars. In goes Aurelia, can't quite get the first kill, as this Bamboo is going to deny the engage. And Entropic have managed to secure Baron on 3, and I think you cut your losses and retreat, even though there's low health bars. That Baron is the objective that you were looking for.
It is, and it was taken away by Entropic. But now the good news is that we are leaving this mid lane tower unprotected unless you're relying on the Ahri, and I talk too soon.
Charm does land. That's going to be a kill easily onto Lobo. Surely, yes, will be enough as the final auto attack does convert from Ziggs. And yeah, Blows can't even push through that middle lane. And with Dragon coming up in 20 seconds just under, it is going to be, with that Baron buff, the ability to push out for Entropic and look to take that all-important objective from here.
So we are gonna be watching the replay right here. You can see how the Flay does kind of land, but then it all goes down in ashes for them. The Vanguard's Edge cleaning up the team fight so nicely. You've got Nidra run away. He doesn't even need to be in the middle of the team fight. They tried to turn around in terms of the team of Blows Gaming, but once again, it didn't quite work out. They had to retreat. And that's what happened, you know, that's how the game goes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose Baron in the meantime.
Yeah, Elder is up, and they've earned the push through middle lane and bottom lane, and now Entropic are going to group. The hook does land onto Orianna, forces the flash away, and that should very well open up the Dragon for them, as there's the attempted engage from Ahri. Will try and dash into the back line, and it's already gone over. The fight is still happening as Vi desperately trying to stay alive. GA will keep her alive for now, but not long for this world as she'll respawn back in. He's going to go in, and they're going to try and follow up with Sakuka for these low health targets. It's exactly what we were talking about to begin this one. Low health targets easily eaten through as Entropic, they've started to take full control of this game. With Baron buff, now with Elder, they're going to try and push through the mid lane.
There we go. It seems like it could be game over for Blows Gaming.
Hey, double teleport. They're going to want to end this right now.
They do, and will they be able to make it? Well, Stress, I think for me it's a potential yes, but the zoning CC coming from Blows Gaming might keep them at bay.
Baron expired. That's the biggest thing is, like, as they started the teleports, Baron expired, and just a little bit of a delay may give Blows one last chance in this game, which gives them an opportunity to just get their composition to work once, and maybe they can fight back. Stranger things have happened. We've seen some pretty long games recently, but Blows, they hold for now.
They do, but the question is for how long, right? Well, anyways, for how long? This can be a quite good example there in the team fight. Once again, Patras using her ultimate there to counter the entire enemy team, dividing, splitting the team fight right here. There was nothing much left to do for Blows Gaming there. You could see how the Guardian Angels was already in full force for Entropic, getting the kills again and again. And then again, this is the magic of Ahri with the ultimate. We'll see if that keeps on walking. For now, again, we've got another Baron respawn in 5 seconds. And the team of Entropic seems to be properly positioned to take it away.
I love how, and this is the Vi way that you basically have to play. I love how Havivu's like, okay, I'm going to get a GA second item. I'm going to go Stasis Enchant. I'm going to get a Sterix. So that, like, I'll just get, like, as many defensive tools so that I throw my face at them, somebody dies, and hopefully I survive. Not really having the impact that I think Havivu was hoping for, but I think when you pick Vi, you kind of consign yourself to that. Baron has already gone over. It was fast enough this time around that Entropic being able to take it, and Ziggs ultimate is going to split people up. Charm doesn't quite land as Entropic are trying desperately to route Blows back into the fountain, and they have done it. That's going to be the critical damage done. A Sonic Wave lands, GA is going to proc for Lee Sin, but it's all about the chase down to distract. It's all about those death timers. Entropic, they're going to be able to close this game out.
Well, they will try to save it because he's still alive, trying to fight him over in the bot lane. But now he's going down once again. The tower is going to be falling. And there we go, the first victory of the day going over to Entropic.
Entropic take their first game 1-0. It's a best of 3 though, so we will have to see whether they can fight back in game 2. But this is a slower paced game than we are used to, at least for the first 15 minutes of the game. It felt like neither team could really get control, despite the fact that like 2 kills went over to Aurelia in the early game up in the top side. It felt like there was just not really anything that either team were doing outside of dragon play. And for me, this is like the difference between the teams that we have seen in the upper bracket, like Game Lord, who they're like, okay, what's our next play? What are we going to do next? We're going to be proactive. I think for Entropic and Blows, I'd love to see a little bit more of a forward-thinking composition rather than like a reactive composition.
At times I felt a little bit lost. But I may say, like, that we're planning going for the mid lane, they're not quite done. Let's switch over to the bot lane, but in the bot lane, the dragon is being taken by Entropic, and Entropic is taking it away, as you can see in display, for example. But then we go away, and the skirmishes happen after the objectives are what could have condemned the team in the later game. So I'm hoping we see kind of a different approach to this by both teams, because I know they can do better. I know these team fights can be a lot cleaner than they've been, but not this yet. Not in this one. Let's take it as a warm-up game, for example.
Unfortunately, for neither team can they afford to take warm-up games at this point. Like we're in the last chance in this lower bracket, especially now for Blows as they're 0-1 down. I feel like I could see where the draft was going, but I think with Vi as your engage, you're basically throwing everything on one person, and then you're going into a Thresh through the box, through Ziggs. Like there's a lot of picks that deny that engage, and I think without any other engage tool, it was really difficult for Blows to actually look at being aggressive on the map. Here we see the stats from the game. Sakuka didn't actually get another kill after those first 2. Lots of assists, and it was Nadro that was able to kind of pick up the tidying up around the team fights. But generally, I would say like Entropic made fewer mistakes in that game, and certainly found a window when Hafivu showed on the bottom lane to take Baron. I think it can be a cleaner game from both sides though, for sure.
Okay, in terms of gold and damage, it wasn't that much if you think about it, if you look at the stats. I mean, there's a difference in that, and surely it piles up to more than 10k, but at the same time, I think they were quite close until they weren't. And that was a breaking point for them.
It was a really close game, basically until that Baron call. And that's the struggle is, you can see right up until that, where it kind of around that 18-minute mark really takes a turn. You can see the Blows were bouncing back and holding the gold lead just to about a 3,000 gold lead for Entropic. It was merely giving them the opportunity to turn towards the Baron and take Nasha for themselves. Kind of forgivable, but at the same time, I'm like, when you've basically only got one objective on the map, it's so hard to show bot lane as a team and show two or three people down there when you know the enemy are just recalling and resetting on the map. So I think a few little things for Blows to tidy up in that game. Entropic, I think Sakuka played out the game really well. I think it could easily have kind of overextended out into that side lane, but let's take a look at that play of the game and break down a pivotal moment of the game one more time. I hope it's the Baron buff.
He's not.
It's not. It's around the Elder Drake. Okay, so at this point, I think it kind of is already done.
Yeah, I mean, it was already, for me, the key point here is how Blows Gaming were able to keep it together. You've got Habibu on one hand, you've got Lever trying to run away, but of course, as a Rakan, you cannot protect 5 different people because that will be way too much. You cannot be with people all around the bottom side of the jungle. So that kind of causes them team fight, not being able to protect themselves properly, and then that leading over to Entropic to be able to pick kills anywhere they wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. If I were doing a play of the game, I would try and see the pings and zoom in on whoever pinged towards Baron. Or the comms where it's just like, hey, Vi's in bot lane, let's go Baron. Anyway, we're going to go Baron. It's probably going to take us about 3 minutes on a break. So when we come back, it is going to be game number 2 between Blows Gaming and Entropic.
Frozen over, stuck in time, out of breath in my mind. Is this how it will be when you promise this, you and me? Could it be us? Could it be us till forever? Till forever, forever us? Could it be us? Could it be us till forever? Till forever? Say you'll be mine. Say that you will, say that you will. Say you'll be mine. Say that you will, say that you will. You will always be the deepest part of me. Heavy hearts healed in time, memories stuck in mine. Never believed I'd start again. That I saw.
We're back with game 2 between Blows Gaming and Entropic, and a little bit of a slower paced game 1, a little bit of a steady on their feet moment for Blows and Entropic, but it was Entropic that would come out 1-0 on the series. I'm Stress, joined by Carmeline, and we are going to delve a little bit deeper into that first game before we get into the draft for the second one. Carmeline, if there's one thing that you want to see changed from the side of Blows, what would it be heading into game 2?
Everything, I think.
Everything.
Yes.
That's a lot for one thing, but I'll take that. I know that it's kind of a tricky situation for them with their draft that they put through. I think the macro play for me was one of the things that we needed to see a little bit different from Blows. Just not having engage tools makes it really tough to get fights started.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, I think the Vi pick might not be my favorite one. I need to see more proactivity from Bamboo, as did not shine as I expected him to. So many things to be changed for the next game if they can pull it off.
Yeah, many things to be changed. I want to keep the focus on macro play, and that means we can take a step back away from today's games and look all the way back at week 1 for a pretty solid macro play from Viv Esports. It's Stuart breaking down a play from week 1.
Thank you very much, Stress. Yes, we are looking at a play all the way back from week 1 between Viv Esports and Principality. Now, at this point of the game, we are 9 minutes into this game. No kills. Very, very even on gold, and it's all about the second Rift Herald. And the main part that I want to look at for this play is the setup that Viv Esports do around and just before the Rift Herald. You can see at the moment that Viv Esports are grouped together as a team, and Principality are a little bit split up. But what I want to focus on is right here, Viv Esports grouping as 5 and pushing down the mid wave. You can see here the mid wave is completely pushed in, which means that Galio has to stay mid, and Principality have to think, okay, do we have to defend the mid wave, or do we have to go for the Rift Herald? You can see after the mid lane push, Viv Esports are now grouping together as 5. Galio is still off by himself, and Renekton is also by himself. So this now splits Principality and means they have to make some sort of decision. Do they go for a team fight? Do they back off? But this next part is what's really important. Watch Tyrus here on Jarvan. Boom. That Cataclysm there locks down Kai'Sa and Lulu, which means they're going to be completely zoned out of the fight. And because Tyrus hasn't used his flag and drag, he uses flag and drag, and Kai'Sa and Lulu are completely zoned out. Then after that, you have Ryu flashing in with the Morgana ultimate and just using that to zone the members on the side of Principality, which allows Kranix on the Vayne to just clean up the rest of this fight and play a perfect front-to-back fight. And from here, Viv Esports were able to accelerate that goal lead and win out. And yeah, that's everything for Smart Stuart. Back to Stress and Carmeline to get us into game number 2.
Smart Stuart, I feel like stupid Stress, although I love macro. I love, having been an analyst for League of Legends for like 10 years, I am totally on board with us talking about macro play in Wild Rift. We're going to see if we see any of these kind of moments around pushing mid in the next game, because that was actually what slowed down our last game, is not being able to get that mid push. Okay, let's focus all the way back in. We're in Blows. against Entropic. We're one game down in the series, and Entropic have the lead. We've talked a little bit about what blows can change up coming into the second game, but Carmeline, talk to me about Entropic. Like that was a slow but steady game one for them.
There are many things to be talked about in Tropic as well. But how about you tell them while we're casting the picks and bans, because they're coming up now. And honestly, there's something that I do want to bring up is how even though they won, I didn't feel like that was the cleanest game ever. There were way many chances for Blows to come back. So let's see if they can fix it, bring this perhaps drafting phase for them instead of with none of them, because there are no bans yet on the table.
Right. Well, the teams have swapped sides, so it's Entropic now on the blue side, Blows on the red side, so Blows will have a little bit more in the side of flex picks. But interestingly, Entropic maintaining their Morgana ban from last game, this time on the blue side.
Yeah, which is quite interesting, as well as the aura coming from Blows once again. Last time I think it was by Entropic. Not neither of these teams want to see her on the Rift, which honestly I can vouch for that. I understand it perfectly. Listen, it's going to be banned by themselves.
I love blue side Lee Sin bans because Lee Sin is so safe. I've said this every draft. I'm sorry, people are going to be bored about this. Lee Sin is such a safe first round pick on red side. Jace going to be banned away. No first pick for that Jason. Olaf banned away. We've seen him in mid. We've seen him in jungle a whole lot. Entropic not wanting to see him in this game.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm kind of sad about it, you know, like I didn't want to see more Olaf and the Ragnarok going crazy all over the Rift. But I guess life is life, and sometimes get these, and sometimes you get a virus, which was open indeed. We talked about it in the last game and how he had been prioritized at times. Well, there's a comeback right here.
Yeah, there's a Garen available as well. We've seen Garen in the top lane, we've seen it in the mid lane. A lot of bans differently this time around because Galio is available as well. So Garen, Galio. This Varus priority is while Varus is still strong, it screams of an older meta. And having played a ton of Varus, into tanks like Garen and Galio can feel really bad. Like you do run out of damage eventually. Camille to stop the Camille Galio priority, and Thresh now taken away to get the Varus some kind of security. So we're flying through this draft very quickly here.
Yeah, and as you said, the Varus is going to have a difficult time there, like trying to poke through the entire armor build by both of these champions from Blowers Gaming. We'll see how that works out, but there's a small aspect to be made here. And I'm wondering what they can be going for. Zed.
Okay, so Zed is going to unlock a few things here for Blows. They need to ban Fizz, is going to be basically a priority for them right now. That's a skill matchup that Zed can take. Ari is going to be the first ban. So what Zed buys is the ability to either put Galio in the carry role or the support role, and then take a different AP carry in the bottom lane. So Zed gives you a little bit of that flexibility. Ari, I can see it as a matchup just to ban away from Zed, but obviously Entropic have a few options available. They know exactly what this Zed pick signals, and that's why it Ziggs is off the board. Wouldn't be too surprised to see them take away the Orianna as well.
Yeah, could be very easily. Now we have to wait a little bit and see Diana there. I mean, yeah, it does make sense. I wouldn't want to play Diana versus a Zed. I mean, the other way around, I wouldn't want to play Zed versus a Diana. Both of them can jump onto you, but Diana might have more routes to escape than the Zed. In any case, that's the way it is. That's going to be played in this potential last game of the series. Now, let's wait and see for the last ban for Entropic, the Corki.
Again, same principle. You're taking away these bot lane carriers that have some magic damage. Leaves us with Brand as one of them. Vigar is up, thinking about this. Orianna, of course, is the first one. I just assumed it would be banned, but I have to think that Orianna has to come out here, and it gives them that flexibility. How's Patra's Fizz? Because that's the skill matchup that's available against Zed right now.
That's a good question. I mean, considering he usually plays Assassins, I would say maybe.
I hope Fizz would fit then. It doesn't necessarily give them the best composition. Camille could, of course, flex between top and jungle. We've seen a whole bunch of stuff in mid lane, so there's a lot of options still available here for Entropic.
I know, and it's also to be mentioned, it's a Kha'Zix hit. Oh my gosh, lips. the lips on to Garen, the lips on to whomever you need to. The Orianna is going to have an easier time against it. But depending on what the last pick for Blow's gaming is, this might cause a lot of chaos in between the lines of the right side team. Then I was also thinking these two teams were facing each other last week. And Blow's gaming won that one. Will they win this one? We don't know, but Gragas is surely going to be appearing once again in the Rift.
Okay, I like the Gragas. It's perhaps not great in the matchup early on, like when Zed gets access to his ultimate, but what it is going to do is give them more engage threat on the side of Entropic. Gragas with that body slam cask, engage and disengage. I was starting to worry a little bit with the Kha'Zix and with the Camille way. It's tough to get fights started. Camille did have that nerf a little bit on her ultimate. It's not that impactful right now, and Blows are going to stick with it. With the Vi, they want an engage tool. Vi Galio, now we're starting to build a comp that's diving. Now we're going in.
Okay, yeah, because you've got the Gallia with the Hero's Entrance, you've got the Vi with the Salt and Battery. Those two combined together can be quite powerful. And if you think about it, it's also perfect setup for Zed to go just full in with the shadows, just get in the kills. That is, if Entropic allows them to do so, because if you look at Entropic's composition, it seems more team fight oriented towards me. You have the Barris in the back line, just poking the enemy. You've got the Gragas zoning them out. You've got the Kha'Zix to start things off. The Bogs coming from Thresh. So it'll be quite interesting to see how this unfolds.
We got some interesting interactions here because looking at the engage tools, like all of these engage tools for Blows basically bypass the Gragas ultimate, but the one that they don't bypass is Camille's Hextech ultimatum. I wonder whether that on Vi will buy Varus enough time to create space and make this team fight drawn out. Some interesting interactions that we're going to see in game that we don't normally get to see. So this is a little bit more active of a game, I hope. Just looking at the compositions, we've got like Kha'Zix, we've got a Vi, we've got these engaged tools from the Gragas and the Camille. So I hope it'll be a little bit quicker and less focused just around the dragon fights. I think Entropic played it a little cleaner in the last game. Blows, we're going to have to see if they can bounce back in game 2 here. If they don't, that will mean Entropic will advance to the second round of the lower bracket, and Blows will have to wait for the last chance qualifier in a few weeks' time to try and earn their spot in the Wild Rift European Championships, or should I say WREC finals in Barcelona a little bit later on in the year.
Yeah, a little bit late, not that late, not that it's going to be taking too long, like if you think about it's just in June. But here we're seeing how distribution of the champions has been like. The Gragas will have to face off Zed directly. Ooh, that's not a good matchup for him. He's going to be suffering a little bit.
Did not respect level 2. Gragas will, however, of course, be able to kind of sustain up using passive, get himself healthily back into the lane, whereas Zed can't do that. We'll have to recall, but it's kind of a matchup of Zed pushing out, trying to roam, and Gragas trying to follow.
Now the question is, will he be able to do it? I surely hope so. I think Gragas could have a lot of potential, especially around objectives. But for now, what we're seeing is a little bit, jungle invade come from Entropic, but they've been spotted there by Levo, who can't do much with the Winds of War, coming from Galio. So there we go, that camp is going to be taken away for them. But Vi isn't exactly the same. Habibu is just trying to take away the blue as well from the enemy jungle camp. So no big deal here. We see the rotations that we saw the last game too, where you could see the support trying to take part in these early skirmishes. Whether that'll happen in this one game or not, it's up to debate by them, but we can see that they want to do something up here.
They're a little late on the crab, unfortunately. It looked like they might have been able to get there, but the crab pathing topside because of the way Vi pushed it is important. And I want to make note that Sukutka actually recalled when you're in what's called a vertical jungling situation, where you take your own buff and then the enemy buff on the same side. Wherever the enemy jungler is, the side lane has to play safe. And that's what Sukutka did. He recalled out, said, okay, I'm not getting dove here. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to go for it. And it just is the same thing I felt from Sukutka in game 1, where he plays out the lane and these laning situations really carefully and very well, understanding what he's got to do. as he's been silenced, doesn't quite have that level 5. I do see Havivu on the way, though.
Yeah, but he seems to be taking his time in order to not intervene. You can also see how Sakutka is getting pushed. Oh, gosh!
Oh, he even dodges with the Hextech Ultimatum. That is exactly... No, he flashes in. He got baited. Oh, the caster curse is real. I'm like, Sakutka, he plays so safe. He plays amazingly around the Garen ultimate and then gets baited in.
There we go. But hey, maybe to compensate, as he's having a bad time there versus the Gragas. Now, Gragas Patras is level 6, so ultimate is already available. But we're going to see the play once again right now. Sakutka is there farming happily. They throw the Hextech Ultimatum. They think they might have it there, as well as the Damascene Justice by Garen. And look at it. They've got the Flasher by First Blood for Bloods Gaming.
Oh, you know Sakutka right there is like, I don't want to flash on him. If I flash and it fails, I lose this lane so hard. But he's like, the kill's right there. I'm one flash empowered auto like Q. It'll be enough to get the kill. And then Vi walks out of the bush and you're like, no, this is the worst. Like the number of times this happens is absolutely the worst. But Sakutka now has to be careful. This is a Galio roaming up as well. If he extends in the lane, very difficult to come back. Good positioning from Havivu to be there to convert on that. And that's what we're talking about. His top side was a strong side for Blows and they kind of forced it until it worked, but it worked in the end.
It did for them. Now they just have to keep on pushing. In this case, they're gonna go for the dragon in here, the first and first dragon of the game. But that being sound out,
Havivu goes in. Smite came early, but it is gonna be Entropic that secure it. Double stun. It looked like released a knockback from Patres, and Galio's gonna try and reposition in the fight.
No.
Oh, that's not enough of a flash distance, as it is a huge team fight for Blows. They've taken 3 kills. Dragon didn't go to them. That's a triple kill for this Garen, and it's everything coming from that first blood. Garen is monstrous now, and I don't know how Entropic are going to deal with it.
I mean, it all happened in the span of 5 minutes. In comparison to last game, which was not seeing much action, and the actions that were taking place just amounted to no kills. In this case, Blows Gaming is like, you know what? We need to win this one. You kind of ready to the 3 falls there. Vi, 3 kills for Garen, who's already built the Black Liver. And take this into account, they're trying to take away the Herald as well. So we'll see if that works out in the end or not. But Entropic not going to allow it to happen.
No, Entropic can't really find presence on this game. That's Galio that they're going to use a Hextech Ultimatum on. The hook comes through as well. We'll be able to get the first kill. Ooh, Bamboo was thinking about going in there, but I think couldn't quite find the entrance that he was looking for. Thinks about it a second time, just goes, all right, I'm winning this lane really hard. I'm just going to go back to it.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? From this position, I agree with you, chat. 88% think that Blows are going to take this victory. Zed's going to go in. Deathmark is ticking. It's not quite enough, as Gragas will heal up through the majority of it and get some of that extra resistances. And I don't know how you deal with this, Garen. To be blunt, Varus is not going to do it in this game.
I mean, this raid lets the farmer build up on you, lose HP for whenever the ultimate comes. But then again, that isn't going to help you a lot. So just try to shut him down during small picks. You know, just try to pick him and get the kill onto him before he can get up to the team fight and spin round and round, getting everyone stand. That will be kind of the key to beat him up right now. Now, if you are Blows Gaming, the one that you want to take out here is the Sakutka before they can scale up, and of course Harold with the Varus. That's another pick that you don't want to be doing well. So once again, 2 different objectives. I think it's feasible for them to take them away. But we can see now how Blows Gaming are positioning themselves around this next dragon that's going to be spawning in quite a short time. They don't want to let it go. You see now rotating towards the bot lane, taking that tower. But hey, Entropic is ready to respawn here in the mid lane.
But Blows have got 3 people bot lane, and if that's an engage down there from Entropic, I think Garen just kind of takes everything here. That's the death mark in top side. I don't know about this for Zed, as maybe Camille will be able to do it. It is enough. I didn't know about it. That's because I was wrong, and Zed will pick up the kill on to Sukutka. And this has been the opposite game for Sukutka. Careful game one, and this game has been baited into 2 fights that he's lost.
No way for Camille to escape out of there. They are getting dropped again and again. Oh my god. Okay, Garen, stop it, please. That's not...
I mean, this is why, like, when we heard from our teams, like, what their least favorite champions are in some of the video packages we've done, Joey Skaggs from Team Queso is like Garen, because in scrims, he's awfully monstrous when he gets ahead. Like, this is difficult to deal with as a champion, and I feel like that's the problem is Entropic. They knowingly traded Varus for Garen in this draft and kind of assumed that, okay, Camille will hold the Garen, but all from one flash, it has gone horribly wrong for Entropic. If they can get Camille into this game, they can bounce back. As you said, Camille will scale better. And if they can get a kill onto her now on this Zed, maybe that's enough. Galliot is going to come through and will end up splitting the fight. Hook comes out, but it's not quite enough. And you can see Entropic denied on their play top side in exchange for the Dragon on the bottom side. And that's a good win for Blows again.
Yeah, there we go. These could have been fatal for us there. But once again, I was a little bit underwhelmed by, but in this game, he's definitely shown his true colors. And we got the Herald right there. No ways to really help it do its job. But I mean,
it should be
you know
enough.
what? We throw it down. There we go. The tower goes down. In the meantime, you have to fight against us.
Uh-oh, Lobo will be able to justice punch his way out. And actually, that's a beautiful setup, though, from Blows. They're able to get the low health bars down. Zed comes to clean up, and look at the rest of the damage. Savak locking a number of players in place, and it's easy kills on this top side on the map. Blows are looking like a completely different team with this draft. And Blows, you have to feel like, are building themselves a position to bounce back and give us a 1-on-1 series after this, because they are starting to run away with this.
Beautiful protect there by Oriana onto Garen as well, which I thought was quite good. Then you also have the Herald going on for them. The goal difference amounting up to 7k at this point. So quite a lot of things going on in there. And I feel like in this one particular play, things could have gone south for Blows Gaming. Yeah, they've got the box by Entropic. Nothing matters. Still, Blows Gaming is still being able to pick up kills in here. Harold tries to escape, but he gets shut down both by Savik and Habibu. So, yeah, I mean, quite good. And then Savik, we've been talking about him, hyping him up as maybe one of the best players, and there we go again.
Yeah, this is Ezda trying to throw himself into this exchange, but actually gets so much back. I thought he was just trying to throw it out there just to try and stay alive, and he actually does. Tries to pick up a kill on the back end as we're back up the top side, and unfortunately for Sukutka, that's another death going down, and Blows are just taking everything from this series. It's complete change of pace. And Tropic seem to be losing their heads, just taking engages anywhere that they can. This time it was Blows going aggressive in the middle lane as Havivu on this fight has found the openings this time to make it work. Has the Guardian Angel this game around, and this is the type of game where it actually works out a lot better because you are able to survive through for long enough for the rest of the team to keep you alive on the back end of the fight. However, in goes the Gragas, but you're 2 versus 4. This is not going to work. This is the problem in this game for Entropic, is they're like, hey, there's a fight to be had. Let's take it. And it doesn't even matter that they're 10k gold behind to them. They're just like, let's just try and fight.
Yeah, the change of corruption there by Varus didn't do much. So Haru having to stand there, seeing his ultimate go to nothing. Pago, I feel like he's a little bit disappeared from this game, like not having the same impact as in the last one. I don't know, I feel like they're not walking the sun yet quite as well as they did in other games, and there we go again, this non-stop.
This time is a 4 versus 2 in their favor, but Galio Ultimate is not quite available either. So Bamboo dropping low. Have they bought the time for Havivu to get there? Yes, they will, and they're going to disengage because look at Zed on the top lane. Will be pushing down this turret. Should just get some damage down. Not quite enough, I don't think. Gragas should clear the wave.
No.
But it at least peels Gragas away. It stops the fight happening in the bottom lane.
Well, you know what they say, if you can't take top lane tower, then just rotate towards the bot lane and get done with it. Oh,
Yeah, turns
my
out
gosh.
Garen has some pretty good health regen and comes back into the fight, basically full health, and runs down the Camille. This is the setup now for Drake. So you're basically, Zed's gone in, Deathmark is on Patres. It's not going to be enough to get the kill, but it forces him back. And with the next wave approaching, now it's a play where, Entropic, they have to decide between contesting Drake and losing top tower. And losing top tower is definitely going to happen at this rate.
Both of them might happen,
Yep.
in fact. So you've got Blaze Gaming already going in for a fight in the bot lane, the tower being taken as well. End of the game, perhaps. The hook!
Bamboo, the hook landed, but this Garen is too tanky. There's not enough kill threat, and this is one of the problems with playing Varus. This is going to happen most games in solo queue, unfortunately. When you have tanks and bruisers on the enemy team, if you fall behind as Varus, the game is basically done. It takes an exceptional performance to turn it back around, because Varus just doesn't have the armor penetration to eat through the majority of these tanky stats. And he's great against squishy champions, great in the early game, but if you get outscaled, you're going to end up losing. And forces a flash out from Blows as Lobo backs away. Turret does go in favor of Entropic, but look, it's 10,000 gold down right for them at this point in time, and they're going to lose mid tower eventually.
It's also the first tower for them, whereas Blaze Gaming already has 4 towers, 14 kills if that wasn't enough. Now it's time to plan the next move. It's either the Elder or the Baron. Many things at stake. Blaze needs to take one of these in order to keep being alive in the competition. But the question is which one they will go for first. The Baron seems to be quite tempting, if you ask me. It's just up there for the picking. They could get it done quite quickly, quite fast. But now there's always the risk of getting outsold by Gragas. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
So, in my opinion, the way that you play this is Zed pushes the bottom lane as they were trying to do. And as soon as 2 people commit to Zed, you start the Baron. And if they back away and contest the Baron, Zed takes the bot tower. And it's just a game of balancing between Baron and bot tower, Baron and bot tower. And as soon as you see people overcommit to one side, that gives you the understanding of which objective to get. And you can see, Sukuka is going to try and focus, and they overcommit into the jungle and kill a Varus, and now you go to the Baron.
Now you've got the answer you were looking for. Right there. No need for Zed to be even pushing bot lane.
Entropic are going to sack Baron and just go for bot tower. I mean, that's nice for some gold now, but this doesn't trade out evenly in any capacity.
There we go. The Baron going over to Blaze Gaming. But Ezra is here around the area. Nedrick will be in trouble. The minions have the buff of the Baron, so they're not going to be able to push anymore. And if you look at it, 4 towers in comparison to the 2 that Entropic is holding on to right now. There you go. This was a quite interesting team fight. Well, team fight. Actually, Varus was just out there for the kill, and he got killed. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's good vision control from Blows on the top side. Forcing Varus to use the piercing arrow to try and get vision means that as soon as he starts doing that, you see where he is and you ult him. Goodbye. And end up taking down 2 people committing to the bot side, though, for Entropic, as they're going to try and kill Bamboo. This is a very tanky Garen, who is just going to soak up time, will get the Sterix pop from it, and will eventually die. He does manage to kind of dodge out some of that as Galio is going to come in. 3 members are going to push for the Baron buff in the middle lane, though, so now it's all kind of about Lobo taking up time. Those Baron minions are probably going to kill Sukuka at this rate if he stays to fight, but it's about slowing down Blows. The team are going to get slowed in the middle lane, though, as that's the kill going down onto Thresh. They will be able to take mid inhibitor and top inhibitor as well. The engage from Havivu is going to pick up the kill on Taharu, and Varus playing into Vi is not a fun matchup. And I think this might just be it, with the minions pushing through. Double wave of super minions are going to be pushing through as Blows will be able to even up the series 1-1 against Entropic. And that was a much better game from Blows Gaming. That's the Blows that you were expecting to see, right, Carmeline?
Well, you're about to call me Sukuka.
Oh, no, I was about to call you Camille, but yeah. But I'm stuck in the game on Sukuka's performance, where I'm like, Sukuka's Camille, not as good as Sukuka's Aurelia.
So I think the game was quite interesting. I don't know. I was trying to put on a French accent. It didn't work out. So, I mean, this quite, of course, this was quite better for Blow's gaming. Still quite a few things to polish, stress. I feel like the Vi gameplay was quite good coming from Habibu. He's one of the shining players for this roster that I wasn't expecting to, take a step forward. Levo still has things to improve, but for now, I think we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and see what happens in the third game.
I mean, it was a much better game from Blows in the sense of like, once that first kill went over to Garen in the top lane, suddenly Garen just becomes unkillable, then gets 2 more kills, or sorry, it wasn't Garen that gets the kill, but he ends up with 3 kills, unkillable at that point. And then really good performance with them putting the Z in the bottom lane, using the engage to kind of shut down Sakutka's Camille a few times in this game. And from there, just recognizing, okay, all we've got to do is pick Varus. And if we pick off the Varus, we're able to take these fights every single time. So Blows a lot more composed, but I like it that they were able to go aggressive this time. They had that front line to protect them. When they go in with the Vi, the Galio's there, the Garen's there, can keep Vi safe.
Here is the damage done by each of the members, falling quite a little bit behind from team of Entropic there. And if you look at the scoreboards, look at the atomization as well. I think Ezra was perfectly prepared for this with the Edge of the Night, the Black Cleaver as well, and the 2-1-8. This was more of a team effort. If you omit Savik having a 507, fully HP, going in there for the armor penetration, might penetration right there, which is quite interesting. And then again, I don't know if you think anything of this damage dealing, but
what I think is this is what happens when Varus plays into Vi and is losing. 9,000 damage from Varus. That's purely because you can never stand and fight. You can never get multiple rotations of your abilities off in fights. If you can't do that, Varus's damage falls off. And keep in mind, Entropic picked Varus first, which tells you, okay, this is what we're building our composition around. I like that Blows go, okay, well, we see your Varus. We'll put a Garen there, and we'll throw a Vi in the mix and a Galio, and hey, Varus can't actually deal damage anymore. So I think it's a really good way of Blows answering the first pick while letting that Varus through.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for next game, I'm expecting... So last week when I talked to them, to Bamboo and Zavek, they told me a few things that I said I wouldn't reveal unless it happened.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, also because I think they were kind of trolling me. So I'm just keeping it there. But, they mentioned a few picks that could be taking place.
Okay, well, we'll keep those secret for now. I want to look at the play of the game and see where this goes wrong. There's a couple it could have been, but we'll see the play of the game in favor of Blows.
It'll be the one that you didn't mention.
I know, exactly. It's the top lane dive.
One was good because, again, as we talked about earlier, it seemed like things were going in Blows in Serena Tropic's favor. And then suddenly it turns around, Harry tries to escape, nothing else is happening here. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, Entropic at this point, they're like, okay, we can't really stabilize on the game. And they kind of lose their head in that play, like diving under a tower, no wave, not having vision of the enemy team at all, and just going like, let's just 4-man dive topside against the Galio. Not really what you're looking for in that kind of exchange, but we'll see. Entropic's first game was so clean and their second game was so not clean that I'm like, which Entropic is the real Entropic that we're going to see? We'll find out in game number 3 because Entropic and Blows are both playing now with their tournament lives on the line. One more game separates one of these teams from round 2 of the lower bracket and going home. We'll find out which team stays in just a couple of minutes.
Frozen over, stuck in time, out of breath in my mind. Is this how it will be when you promise this, you and me? Could it be us? Could it be us till forever? Till forever, forever us? Could it be us? Could it be us till forever? Forever.
It's not just coming, it's here. It's the Wild Rift EMEA Championships. We're in the lower bracket, round 1. It is one game left between Blows Gaming and Entropic, and that was a much more convincing game from Blows. Carmine, that was what we were expecting, right? That's why you predicted Blows.
No, I didn't predict them because of that. I predicted them because I was Spanish. I honestly... Like, they've been making top 4 of Liga Salvaje, so not that I had a lot of baseline predictions of, I say, like, yeah, they are the best team. But you know what? I've known the players. I know how they play. I've got full trust in them.
Well, when they pick up the wins, that's when you're like, yeah, this is why I voted for them. It allows you to build up your predictions
sure.
for the future. You're like, no, I've totally got the secret info that you've talked about with you mentioned some secret strats that we might have. Some not so secret strats. Stuart's been keeping his eye on this series. I want to hear from Stuart on what he thinks heading into game 3 of the series.
Thank you very much, Josh. Yeah, these are the key points. I've been looking at the past 2 games, and surprisingly, we've not seen any set at all. Hasn't been banned, it hasn't been picked at all, so it's very, very different to see that this series, maybe they might have something that we don't know about with set. Maybe it's just not as a high priority in this series, which is very, very interesting compared to the other series that we have seen. And speaking more on the draft, we've had 2 very, very different drafts. it's been really interesting to see high priority on the likes of Varus. There's been high priority on Thresh as well, and especially support picks for Pogo, especially for Entropic. So it's going to be interesting going into this third series, and hopefully Entropic will be going over back onto the red side because they've put a real high priority on Sekutsa. And speaking of Sekutsa, there's been a lot of focus on the Baron lane, both in draft and out of game. Out in draft, you've seen Sekutsa in the first game. He got that last pick on the Irelia. We've also seen in-game as well. There's been a lot of focus and a lot of ganks up in the Baron lane as well. So I'm really excited to try and get into this final game, have a look at the draft and see what Sekutsa can do to try and finish this off for Entropic. But it wasn't that clean for them in the previous game, so we'll have to see if they can turn this around and take the series 2-1 back to Stress and Carmeline.
Thank you very much, Stuart, for setting the stage for our Game 3 and our draft. I do also agree. I'm a little bit surprised to why the Brawler hasn't been picked up. He's seen so much play just in general, like set in Baron lane. I think we've even seen some set support, and for some reason somewhere in my head is a mid lane game as well. We'll have to take a look at the draft for game number 3. We're flying right into it. I'm ready to go. We're going to find out which side each team is going to be on. I feel like Entropic should probably be on red side. It is the case. So Blows back on that blue side that we had in game number 1. So I guess back to that Varus ban priority maybe, although they dealt with it very well.
Ooh, okay, now apparently we're going to start over Listen. Okay, if you know this, actually Habibu is a quite skilled Listen player. He played all through Liga Salvaje, but he hasn't been showing much of this champion lately, so I assume that's the reason why. And then we also have Morgana. The priority of Morgana not being played in any of these games is astounding, but then again, that's how the game goes. You ban some champions, you play some champions, you win, you lose.
Yeah, I think the Morgana priority makes sense when it comes to like the ban phase. Seen so much play over the last few weeks since we have started the WREC. Galio taken away on the side of Blows, just kind of trying to deconstruct the composition they had in the last game, and they're like, no, you're not going to get that. This time it's Entropic that banned the Varus. I believe that was the same in game number 1. I misspoke earlier, but taking away that first pick priority, it's going to leave us in a situation where we have Fiora Jace set available. Now, we haven't seen any set in this draft. We just heard Stuart talk about it. So Fiora should probably find her way to the third ban on red side here. Otherwise, that's an easy first pick for Blows if they want it.
Will it be? Will it not be? Come on! It is consuming me!
If it is, then the alternative options then, like Corky goes up in priority, Garen, of course, goes up in priority. Fiora is available for the first time in today's games. Feel like you have to pick it. It's such an unbelievably strong pick, and if you give it a Sekutsa, hard to deal with.
It is. Now, what will be the response for that one? We don't know. There are many choices here. Darius is open. You've got, well, Jace is not open anymore, but you've still got Camille there, for example. You want to take it a little bit more into the duelist kind of top lane. That's a choice you want to go for. So still, I think they've got plenty of options, but you already know that the Fiora is going to be the pillar where the rest of this competition will build.
Didn't even talk that Jax is available. Thresh is another pick here that Pogo has picked up a bunch of times in this series already. Jax will eventually outscale Fiora in the side lane. Eventually, like late game. So that gives them one priority. That could be jungle, could be top lane. We've seen a lot more jungle recently. The same could be said for Fiora. Can be jungle, can be top lane.
Indeed, the Thresh that we're talking about is going to complement the Jax, as you said, as well. And that leaves another option open. You can go for an AD carry, AD carry will usually work best with this champion. So we'll see what they go for. But now is the turn for Blows Gaming to choose the next option. And you know, they've got plenty of them there. Brown is going to be the choice for this one game. We haven't been seeing lots of Brown.
No, but it's a disengage. Corky's available as well if they want it. Orianna is another option here that is available. We see a lot of priority towards the middle lane. That's a Renekton. So this puts Entropic in a situation where you either take the Corky here or whatever you want in bot lane, or you answer the solo lane. Like Renekton, we saw a lot of play around about the Horizon Cup last year. Still very strong. there's a few other bruisers that can kind of outlast and outscale, and it's going to be Zed picked up. So dodging the top lane matchup for now, Entropic are going to use their last pick flexibility and say, okay, well, there's enough AP mages in the bottom lane for us to ban a few, you to ban a few, and we'll take one.
Oh, wow. Okay, we follow up with Diana ban right in there against Blows Gaming. We'll have to, again, observe what they are doing, but I feel like Entropic's composition is a lot more focused on the damage they can provoke, like lots of damage going on at the same time. Well, Blows Gaming is not so oriented towards that. Braggers is going to be the next ban, which I think fits perfectly. Like, that's not going to be able to help you from the Glacial feature from Braum, not going to be helping you from the Dominate by Renekton, so good choice right here. And last ban from Entropic, going to be going for Ari.
Yeah, taking away some of those AP mid laners. Orianna is still available. We've seen Blows play that from that mid lane. Zig's taken away. This leaves us Orianna bot lane if Entropic want it. That also denies another matchup. And I think the Gragas are obviously targeted towards the top side of the map, but it's Corki that is also available. And honestly, Corki's found so many bans that I find it odd that Corki has found his way into the second round of picks in this draft fairly consistently.
It has. And also Orianna once again gonna be on the road here in the hands of Blows Gaming. And okay, so we potentially could have an Orianna Braum bot lane, which will be quite interesting. The Braum complementing her with the zoning, with the CC could work quite well in that favor. We just need to see what they end up choosing. Akali, a pick that wasn't appreciated last week, I remember. You guys were like, I don't really like the Akali within this composition. Maybe it could be something better. Do you think this is fitting? Because for me, there's that tanks in the team. You've got Duelist, but the Akali might not have been my first choice.
Yeah, I mean, Akali is going to help eat through picks like Jax, like Corki, like Zed before they get too far into the game. Darius is going to be picked up as a bruiser for the top side. That fills in and completes our lineups. It's going to be Jax jungle for Entropic as expected, with Zed in the mid lane, Corki as their bot lane carry. For Blows, likely Fiora jungle with Renekton top side and the Akali in middle lane into Zed. So kind of snowball heavy on the side of Blows. Like if they get a lead with this Renekton, with this Fiora, with this Akali, like they can run away with the game quite quickly. Whereas for Entropic, Jax is always a threat in the late game. Like with the side lane push, but also then you've got multi-person stun plus the Darius, like plus the Zed. Like the reset potential is there for Entropic.
It is. Now, I'm thinking if I'm Tropic, although I want to focus on the team of Blows Gaming, it will be the Fiora for me, the Akali as well. If I'm Blows Gaming, I want to focus a lot of damage on Darius and Zed alike. Want to prevent him from, getting bigger and buffier like Darius. The other one, to shut him down from the beginning and help him not get kills, which will be the Zed. We'll see how that plays out once we're on the Rift. But for now, those are my predictions. That's how I think both teams are going to try and play these win conditions, this shut down Zed and Darius, and then you'll be safe. Shut down the Akali. Again, to counter the Jax, so if she's dead, she can't do it. Maybe not. We'll see what happens.
It's all about execution. And, for Blows, I think that they have a few champions that are harder to lock down. Like Fiora is always going to have Riposte. You're going to have the Braum disengage. Akali and Shroud can kind of avoid a lot of damage. So we are onto the Rift for Blows versus Entropic. One of these teams will advance to next week's games. One of them will be done in the open bracket. They will have to go home and wait for the last chance qualifiers in a number of weeks' time. Double support lane up in the top side. There's a ward out, so Braum's Winter's Bite is going to be enough just to force back Pogo and get a start on this game. A little bit slower of a start, thankfully. No early contests. That's all good with me.
Yeah, it's good with me as well. I mean, I like action-packed games, but if you don't know from the beginning, I'm not gonna blame you. This is the last game of the series, whether it goes in Blows Gaming or in Entropic. For favor, and you don't want to rush it. Like, that's one of the keys here. You want to play it really carefully. Any mistakes can cause you being on discernment for any longer or not. They can send you home. So be careful with that one. Try to plan things ahead very carefully. And now if you look a little bit of a look at both jungles, you can see how Nedro is doing another thing that I'm going to tell you about later, because they wanted to go for Patras here.
Yeah, Padres was able to escape, but Nedro, with the jungle path that you wanted to touch on, let's talk a little bit about that for viewers.
Okay, so basically now what you're seeing here is trying to take the Scuttlecraft, trying to get that good vision here on the bot lane, but he was actually making his path upside towards Darius to get him a little bit of, like, give him a lead. But once again, I get interrupted by whatever action they're trying to carry out from inside Entropic.
Dive is top side. We got baited by the bottom lane as Bamboo is trying to dive under the tower. That's not quite enough to get Sukuka. Good flash out from the riposte follow-up, but it's not quite enough to stay alive. It looked like the tick from Red Buff was enough for Havivu to pick up that first kill for first blood. Fiora starting to get that ball rolling very early on. Almost brilliantly played by Sukuka.
Indeed, that's the case right here, what we've seen from both teams. I mean, that was a quite good showdown for Blows Gaming, because as we were saying before, not only you've managed to get the kill, you've also managed to get both summoners burnt out, which is going to help you a lot right now as you go back into the lane and you have to compete against him. Also, Bamboo has reached level 5, obviously an advantage for him, and being accompanied by Levo is definitely going to put the scoreboard a little bit in the favor. Now, Sakutka is waiting still on the leveling up. Try to get, try to take the best out of this. Try to stay safe under the turret. Do not risk it a lot, because otherwise you might get killed the second time.
Yeah, level 5 hits for Darius as well. Double apprehend, trying to lock them down under the turret, but that hook doesn't quite land. It was on the minion. Jack's looking potentially for a counter-strike multi-person stun. If they can follow this up, Darius gets the first kill. Didn't even use his ultimate. And this time, Havivu is the one found respawning after that top lane engage.
Yeah, also because there were 3 champions, one of them is Squishy, versus a Jax, a Thresh, and Darius, which are known to be kind of tanky, kind of bruisers. So, of course, they're going to be performing better than the others that they were facing at this point in time. But, okay, we still got time to reset, time to get the vision going on there for the Herald. This could be, a gentleman's pact in which one goes for each objectives, but it doesn't seem to be the case, I think. Entropic seems to be focusing a lot on the upper top lane, whereas Blows Gaming seems to be heading more towards the south of the map there in the Dragon. So we might indeed not have a teamfight coming up.
Yeah, recall timing's a little bit awkward there as well, as Patras and the rest of Entropic recalling a little bit after the objective spawns. What that does is gives Blows the opportunity to get vision control. However, I like that Entropic are pushing out mid lane. We saw that segment earlier with Stuart talking about how important that is. And in PC League of Legends, he phrased it as earning the priority or earning the push in middle lane. Basically, use your minions to push out. That's exactly what Blows are doing. This is like the fundamental thing you have to do before you move over to the objective. And both teams are aware of how important that is for this kind of setup. Now there's a neutral lane because there's no minions, so it's a little bit easier for both sides to step down. It's mostly then about vision control. You can see these sweepers taking out the wards, and we'll basically do the same thing over the second wave. But Rift Herald's going to go over to Havivu. They focus that down on top side, whereas on the Dragon side, it is going to go over to Entropic.
Indeed, that's what we're seeing right now. And now Entropic seems to be trying to work more as a team that they did last game, where they were a little bit more divided, splitting team fights right here and there. But nowadays, they're focusing on the top lane, which are pinging already. They could catch Bamboo and aware of the situation if it weren't for the vision. But careful there, because they could still go in for it.
Yeah, Renekton, typically a hard champion to lock down. That slice and dice makes it pretty easy for him to avoid damage, and then he can always pop Dominus to keep himself alive. That's the ultimate that gives him extra health. But one thing I want to kind of note is Nedro on this Jax. I feel like Jax as a pick, as long as you don't fall too far behind, basically allows you to like macro by numbers in the late game. And you just put Jax in the side lane, and if nobody comes and deals with you, you win the game. If more people come and deal with you than the opponents have around Baron, you just take Baron. So it's this kind of like almost like cheating your way to macro by playing the split pusher. So I want to see how that plays out later. Oh,
wait a second,
tide turns.
The Chad is a traitor. You guys were saying 11% for Entropic in the game before this one. Now you're saying 28% for Blows?
Chad are fickle. One day they love you. The next day they'll turn on you. I hope today's a loving me day, chat, please. My self-esteem needs it. No, I'm only joking. It's all good. Entropic gonna look to secure a kill topside. They're roaming up with Thresh, roaming up with Corki as well. No neutral objectives at the moment, so 6 minutes 30 into the game. They're gonna push this first turret of the game down. Important because you need to open the map up for this, Jax. Rift Herald using the bot lane will be able to push, but they haven't done the upfront damage. Yeah, first turret goes topside to Entropic, will be answered in the bottom lane by the Rift Herald.
I was asking, was the Rift Herald concede? But now I can see the first tower for them as well. Oh, why?
Sakuko forced to use his barrier as Bamboo is here, use that Dominus and the Ignite as well. So some of that survivability for both top laners not going to be available. But both teams will kind of disengage, reset, and get themselves back out on the map. Neutral objectives about a minute and a half away.
Yeah, which is the perfect time to get these big kills, you know, that they've been looking for desperately since the beginning of the game. I feel like they're a lot more untamed in this one than we've seen them in all the ones. Like, they're definitely going in for different things, approaches in here. Didn't start so aggressively, and then they just turn it around. And then what you can see both teams, you know, getting a little bit of farming experience right in there in the respective lanes and jungle camps to be able to come back stronger. And you can see that already in the difference in the scoreboards. Right now in favor by like Modern for Blows Gaming, especially there in the mid lane. So we will see how that plays out. For now, in terms of itemization, you can see the things.
You're going to get an engage in the bot side first, though, as Akali. Deathmark is proccing, but it's not enough damage to actually pick up that kill, as Pogo and Patres are going to back themselves away. Nedro is here with Haru, the jungle on bot lane. I love that you mentioned itemization. It's something I want to touch on in just a moment as well, as Entropic not going to be able to dive under this tower. I think there should be a reset before the dragon, about 20 seconds left on that one. I'm going to trigger our co-caster Hell's Devil a moment and say that I actually think of the games you'd see Black Cleaver Corki, this might be a good one. Because you're running like either full AD or mixed damage, with Corki and Jax obviously bringing some magic damage against like two tanks and a bruiser in Fiora, and you got an Essence Reaver. I'm like, I don't hate it, but maybe this is the opportunity to get the armor shred through with the Black Cleaver and the Gatling gun. If I don't have angry tweets from Hells, I swear, after this game, it's not going to be worth it. As Nedro forces a flash out from Bamboo, and now Entropic trying to contest around the Drake. That'll be enough of the Akali jumping back in with her ability 3. And now it's just going to be another handshake on the objectives. This time it's Rift Child going over to Entropic.
Do you ever feel like there are 10 champions per team instead of 5? Because I do. I sometimes feel like that, like more champions than there are actually in the Rift. Like right now with this team fight exploding.
Lantern comes out, gets Nedra out. That's why we've seen Pogo get thrashed 3 times this series.
Okay, this was a good try, but what, 10 minutes in, just 1 kill per team, 1 tower per team, 1 dragon per team. I feel like both of them are containing themselves, trying not to be too proactive and not too passive in terms of who dictates the game pace. But at the same time, I do feel like someone needs to take a step forward and be like, okay, the game is going to take place and this is how I want it to be, and you'll have to play by my rules. Which so far hasn't happened either because of lack of objectives on the Rift, or because of, for example, Bamboo being able to read quite well where they wanted to go for him and just escaping the situation.
Well, at least from my understanding, I feel like the slower this game goes with no major kills, it's better for Nedro, right, on this Jax, because he just gets like scales later and later and later. However, if he does this and kind of overextends, it might be tricky, but Blows recognize they can't go past the river too deep. Otherwise, overcomes the Zed, overcomes the rest of Entropic, and they end up getting caught out. So Jax just needs to find some time to split push. A little bit tricky in the current situation with the towers in the position that they're at, but there's an attempted engage in mid lane. Pogo's here. Didn't need to use the lantern yet, but it was available.
Okay, so now as we approach the mid-game, we can see how Entropic is been ordered focusing Darius in the top lane, pushing the wave towards the enemy that's gonna distract Rose Gaming for a little bit, like giving a kid a shiny object. But be careful with this Spanish team because they know what they're doing. Rotating now towards the top, towards the bot lane. Oh, as the Kobe caught up in here. Oh no!
Very close on that hook, and you can see the confidence now that Nedro is playing with. This is the point where you come out of base when you've got your Trinity Force, when you've got your Blade of the Rune King on Jax. You're like, okay, in a 1v1, I basically kill anyone. Jax is the best duelist in the game. Counter-Strike does so much damage, so much work when it comes to mitigating damage that he just stands there and then hits you with his empowered autos and just goes, okay, I win. So from here on, basically every item that Jax gets makes him stronger and stronger and stronger if he's in an even number fight. The way you fight against it is you have to commit multiple people to kill him, but the later the game goes, the more you have to commit.
But the news is that Jax is not... I mean, Jax is on the Rift, indeed. He's taking part in the team fights that haven't been taking place anyways. Yes. But now, 12 minutes in with all objectives already on the Rift in quite a short time, you really need to start taking some kind of action. And this could be a chance for you to do so as Entropic is rotating towards the bot lane and the Herald has been spawned.
Yeah, they're going to push down this bot tower, look for more. I think it'll just be the one tower they go from here from Entropic, and then they back away once they've got it. Yep, there's the charge. Is enough. They will disengage from here and look to set up around the dragon. These incremental leads for Entropic is exactly what they want. They want a clean game. Now they're going to go reset, get the package for Corki, and what that does is basically denies a fast attempt at the objective from Blows. I like that Blows tried to force mid lane here a little bit, but it's so high health, like they're never going to get enough damage down.
No, I mean, usually when the enemy is taking the other objective and you find another possible way, you do try to push in one of the lanes, whether it is the mid lane or the top lane. But in this case, we didn't have many options. And here we go, the dragon falling for Entropic.
Oh, big shockwave. Ooh, not enough, but it is going to at least make holding this mid lane tower a little bit trickier. The package was used. They don't think it actually cleared out the minions, but Corki did enough on his own. Fiora's going to push topside. I think that's a smart play here out of Blows to just try and get anything that is going to reduce Jax's ability to impact the game. But there's a massive play after the apprehender. Sakuka has found the fight in middle lane. This is exactly what Entropic were looking for as they're able to pick up a number of kills. Well, just the one for now as Bamboo was very low, but it's enough to at least force Blows to reconsider and back themselves away. Okay, that was interesting. Just one kill then out of that team fight going on for Savik. And if we look at another if we take another look at it, you can see how this all started. You had the wall from Oriana deep in the middle of the enemy team, but they called the Meek and the come here by Renekton really didn't help the cause. And of course, they ended up getting the kill right in here, allowing them to get about 2.k goal difference for the team of Entropic. So now, what do you do next? Savik is already on the Rift back again, but the Baron is also there and Bamboo could be in trouble. Bamboo's about to get bamboozled as this is going to be an easy pick-off. Although the rest of Blows are coming up. There's the apprehend, will be enough to pick up the kill. It's Thresh that gets it. And one thing that Entropic will have in their arsenal is Jax is an exceptionally fast Baron jungler when it comes to that clear. So Entropic, all they need is like one kill and they can always threaten Baron.
Stress, I'm getting back that you're a Jax main, could be.
I just like watching Jax play. Like Jax is one of the champions that provides something a little bit different to the game, to somewhat standard play. So I love it when you see a good Jax play. Also, him hitting a tower with his empowered auto abilities, like once it's stacked up, is the most satisfying sound in the game.
Yeah, for you, because Blows Gaming doesn't seem to be enjoying that so much.
No, they're going to end up with a mid lane tower dying, and now they're caught, stuck out. That's a great Braum ultimate, but look, it's 5 versus 3 in the middle lane, and if they can maybe survive a little bit longer and turn it back around, maybe there's an opportunity here as Entropic have lost one. It's a support for support trade, but with that mid lane tower going down, that's what Entropic were looking for.
you've got no one. Renekton is not there yet to help you in this cause. So, I mean, you get 1 kill, okay, but the goal difference is getting even bigger. The gap between both teams is just expanding. And now, even though you've got Habibi with a Fiora to try and push the side lane and top lane, you're not in the best position to do so in case Tropic decides to start a team fight. So for now, what they have to be living through is keep on pushing, keep on being on the game, get big kills here and there, and then just kind of pray for it to be dealt with and for Tropic to make some mistake. So there we go. Also to be mentioned, the itemizations that I want to talk about. You can see the Blade of the Ruin King into 3 members, Renekton, Fiora, and Jax, which obviously makes sense for that extra damage. But talking about damage,
caught, forced back into the fight. He didn't want it, but he's going to have to end up taking it as Bamboo is going to get dropped again. And now they can turn towards that Baron if they choose to. They do still have the package, so it's all about pushing down these towers. And if somebody doesn't respond from the side of blows, they're going to lose multiple here. Hook comes through, but I think this is where you back yourselves away and look for that Baron.
And then I feel like, you know,
Drake is up in 13 as well, yeah.
It is, but I feel like altogether Bloods Gaming isn't able to land and walk as a team in these situations. You've got the Orianna with so much magic penetration that doesn't really do much against the enemy team. Like, she's not been able to fully use the entire kit. Then you go and Tropic just defend this dragon. We'll see if Blows Gaming can do something.
Apprehend again is going to start the fight, forces them to jump away, and it's half health now on the Elder Dragon. It's going to reset, though. Will regenerate a couple of thousand health, and that may be enough to stop Entropic. And I feel like it's the playstyle we saw out of Blows in Game 1 that's unfortunately kind of rearing its head again. They don't have a great engage tool in this game. They don't have a good way of reliably getting a fight started. And Game 2, I thought they looked so good when it was like the Vi with the Galio actually getting into the fight, and then Garen can kind of play as your front line. Whereas this game, there's nobody to actually say, okay, let's fight right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it is not walking in the favor. You can see how they're struggling a lot to find who they want to be, like the main damage dealer. Do we rely on the Akali, but the Akali's not doing that well? Do we go for the Orianna? But then again, I know, I feel like they're a little bit lost in the entire thing on how to play out this route.
Big items completed. Darius now has his 4th item with a Thornmail, and that's Sterix as well. Jackson early at a wit's end for his 4th item. We've got just big items finding their way onto the side of Entropic, about a whole item apiece ahead of Blows, and that's why they feel confident to start this. They do have to be careful of this flank, though, as it is a good engage. Lots of health bars dropping low on the side of Entropic, and maybe this is Entropic overstaying, but look, Darius has picked up the 1st kill, will get the 2nd kill, has the resets going, won't get the 3rd off that execution, and it's a double kill going over to Savek, and that is a big turnaround for Blows. It looked like Blows had, you know, lost the item game, but Entropic, there's 40-second death time as there's a wave pushing for Blows. Has this backfired horrendously? It's inhibitor at least a minimum here for Blows.
Okay, oh my god, they've got the hiccups.
This could just be the game. There's another wave of minions joining. I think Blows might just have done it. Entropic, from being ahead in this game this entire time, like Blows with a composition, find one fight, and they are going to keep themselves alive as Blows Gaming 2-1 over Entropic from that Elder Dragon fight. And I am at a loss for words.
I got the hiccups. Like, I just
supremacy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I wasn't expecting that at all. The shockwave by Orianna was beautifully performed, and that's what led to the entire rest of the team fight playing out in favor of Blows Gaming. They managed to get Darius aside. Getting the kill onto him was so important, and that's how the game ended. Just by one team fight, and it was done.
This is why you don't surrender ranked, by the way. When you're looking at the enemy Jax is like 3.5 items, Darius is like 4 items. I'm like, oh, don't know how we're gonna win this one. Well, you win one team fight off a great shockwave, and I know which fight's gonna be play of the game as we take a look back at this series. This game was all in Entropic's favor. Like, other than First Blood, I felt like Entropic were playing this game out so well, and then Blows steal it back from them. A lot of engages really going against Blows to start. Like the combination here of the Fiora didn't quite get rolling until the late game, and I mean, Entropic were just looking to continue this lead. They got a bunch of towers down, but from the kills, they never took critical objectives. They didn't take Baron, they didn't take the Elder Drake.
True. And I think that's also what caused them the game. Like, they had a good objective vision on how to perform it, how to go for it, but it didn't end up working for them. And as powerful as Jax could have been, then it all fell down when they took out Jax first.
Yeah,
because once it was done, fine.
I feel like looking at this fight, I think you have to turn for Baron like here, like right now.
Yeah.
Instead of going for like waiting for Elder to come up. I think that gives Jax that ability to turn the game really on its head with Baron buff minions. And this fight, I want to watch this fight like 5 times through because it's fascinating how Blows turned it, but like really well team fought at the end. We can take a look at the stats. It's not really going to tell us the majority of this because like 1 death on Haru, 1 death on Patras, 1 death on Nedro, but that single death was the one that gets them eliminated as Blows are able to just take this game. Very low kill game, but Blows playing that team fight out beautifully, and they had enough of a push in the top lane with the minion wave to just end it.
Exactly, and I mean, they didn't get that far off with the atomization, and if you look at the damage dealt by each of them, well, I mean, it's surprising. I think Savek in the end was the one saving the thing, as we saw in that last team fight. Just carrying the team kind of on his back, because for the rest of the teammates, they weren't doing that much, at least in comparison to the counterparts for Entropic. So praise Savek in this one, because this was a 50% thanks to him.
I feel like most of that damage came in the late game. Yeah, there's exactly what we're talking about. Blows win without even reasserting themselves with a gold lead. That's just how it goes. They were still 400 gold down at the end. And to be honest, like that's that threat of that Orianna. That is why we have seen this Orianna presence in the bottom lane. She plays this wave clear bot lane AP carry role exceptionally well. And then you get to team fights and suddenly, well, everybody's dead. And it doesn't matter about everything that started the game because you've just won a team fight and you've just earned your way through to the lower bracket round 2. Really well played in that last team fight from Blows.
Indeed, and I can't wait to see what they're thinking, what they're going to be talking about if they do come for the interview, because this must have been really heart-wrenching for them. Like, I can't imagine how stressful that must have been.
I can't imagine either. I'm going to put money on our player of the game being the fight that wins the entire series for Blows. I want to take another look at it because I've seen it 3 times and I'm like, I don't know exactly how this played out. But I guess big shockwave. Oh yeah, that's huge. That shockwave's huge.
Yeah, I mean, 5 people riding there. I mean, you can see how Ezra is left alone with Pogo up in the top lane. And in the meantime, you see that Darius being left alone, isolated from the rest of his team and being taken down by Blows Gaming. So definitely lots of things happening at the same time. Really split team fight taking place in different sides, divided by walls, so not that you can get close that easily. So that's it.
Yeah, Savek played really safe in that fight. Darius, I think if that second execution gets off, maybe that's a different fight. Maybe if he picks up the kill, it's enough. But if I'm recalling the fight properly, like the ultimate comes down and the target's on like 200 health. Tough to know on Darius when you're in those team fights. You're like, I'm just going to hit the execute button and keep trying to kill people. But
cool
sometimes
down,
that's how it works.
action.
That's how I play Darius anyway. I'm like, it's available. Just ult people.
Cool
Try and
down,
get
reset.
it. This is why I'm not a great solo laner. I think the side of Entropic, they never got the Jax in the position that we have seen Jax to play it. Like always getting kills, but then never bringing it to the side lane and finding that presence. So I think that's one of the downsides that we were setting that game up to be like, okay, we're 20 minutes in and Jax is pushing the side lane and winning the game. Well, Blows are like, well, no, screw that. We're just going to fight around the Drake. MVP of the series, I don't know who we're voting for. It could be a number of members. I think Savek has a shout here, but Carmeline, when we look at MVP, who's it gonna be?
Drum roll.
Drum roll. Please. It is going to be Savek. Yeah, I'm not too surprised by that. That last fight was beautifully played out.
The MVP is a team fight. I mean, I love the way Savik played this game. We saw it in the Rihanna stats. But of course, it's all about the series, right? What they've been doing throughout the series. And I think Savik has been one of the most consistent players for his team, providing that damage sources, providing the stability. And from what I know of, he's kind of like an in-game leader as well. So I'm glad that he's being recognized in this MVP.
Yeah, I think his second game he went unkilled as well, right? I think it was like 5-0 or something like that on the Oriana. Yeah, watching that fight again, I'm like, Darius ults a 3/4 health Fiora. Oh, and then she stasises afterwards, so it doesn't even die to the bleed. Savek, very well deserved MVP from that. I think in the game 2, like Blows looked really good. And then game 3, they were like, well, all we need is one team fight and we're going to be able to take the game. There's a lot to break down in this, and I would love to rewatch this game about 2 minutes earlier and look at who pushes top lane back out. But we don't have time to do that. We want to hear from our winners. Stuart is with one of the players from Blow's game.
Thank you very much, Stress. I'm in G, joined by Bamboo, who is the Baron laner for Blow's Gaming. Bamboo, what a series. How do you and the team feel after that one?
We feel, to be honest, happy because we have been training all the week after the stomp we get by Gamelord. So we are happy that the things we are testing and training every day is working out. So I think in overall happy.
Awesome stuff. And obviously you qualified for the Purge tournament during the week as well. So it seems like your team is building up a lot of momentum as well, you know, a lot of plays. And especially for yourself, there was a lot of focus in this series on the Baron lane and trying to shut down Sekutsa. Was that something that you had planned going into this series, or was it just something that just happened during this game?
Well, after the same off game we did against Gamelord, we have to like how to say it, remake our style of play, and we are focusing more in aggressive play style in early, and so our objective was try to shut down the top lane so we can unlock me and try to do more plays around the map. So yes, I think we are building a good confidence. We are building a good friendship between us, and that goes to a great confidence. So I think we have a lot of more to show. We have 1 week more for training, and we want to get that top 1, of course, like every team.
Yeah, of course, definitely. I think top 1 and getting to Barcelona is the key. And for yourself as well, how do you compare yourself and your team to like the Titans of this tournament, like Gamelord that you mentioned last week, like Team Queso and Regs? Do you feel like you could get up to there and be one of the best?
I feel we don't have that pressure that probably Gamelord, Zero Zone have, because they are the greatest teams and they have to act like greatest teams. We just are a team that nobody knows. We don't have the pressure of being the greatest. We just have to go to the game and play and try our best. We are free of pressure, and we will show. We are here to play and to represent all the Spanish teams that couldn't get to the tournament.
Awesome stuff. Bamboo, thank you very much. Congratulations again on this series win. I'm really looking forward to your next game as well. Hope to see you all very soon. Back to Stress and Carmeline.
Okay.
That was a great interview. I want to hear more from Bamboo. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed hearing about how they kind of tore up the playbook a little bit, and after Game Lords, I'm just going to say there's no shame in losing to Game Lords. Game Lords are so aggressive and so quick to play the game that I love that that's, how we've seen Blowers take their game style. So when we look at the lower bracket, this is where we've been focused on. Blowers Gaming advancing to the second round of the lower bracket. They will face off against, I believe, the loser of the upper bracket, but we'll fill that in as we go through. Blows, I think game 2 is probably the best example of this new playstyle they're talking about, where they were playing very aggressive and very quick comparative to game 1 and game 3.
Absolutely. Also, I won the predictions.
You did win the prediction. I know you did. I was going to say this actually. Like, did you predict Aphelion yesterday, or did you predict Supremacy?
No, I didn't. I predicted Supremacy.
Okay, you joined all of us on losing on Supremacy, but you might be edging ahead on the predictions. Anyway, that was. We've had another 2-1. We broke the seal on 2-1 series. I'm totally ready to get into another series. It's going to be Mood against Control. We'll be back in about 3.5 minutes to take you through that series.